claiming that he deserves to be respected for his strength. Gwon dashes towards Woon. The former Spear Sect member simply smiles though, telling him he has no clue how vast the martial world truly is. In an impressive display, Woon counters all of Gwon's attacks and hits back with the art of six seals and destruction. With just that one move, Gwon is sent flying into the far wall of the cave, battered and bloodied. Afterwards, he observes the duel of 17 and 109. During said duel, Woon is left speechless when he sees Aeyong has mastered the Dark Flower Red Heart cultivation. Known as the first connection of the cult of the Heavenly Demon, this means she's the heiress herself, Cheon Aeyong. After Aeyong soundly defeats 109, Woon is called up as her next opponent. This is the final duel of the strife of life and death. As the two fight, Woon realizes she doesn't have nearly enough maximum chi to be able to use the Dark Flower Red Heart. Between that confusing fact and her refusal to go all out against him, he quickly becomes frustrated. Concluding that she's waiting for him to let loose first, Woon gets in position for a full power attack. When she sees this though, Aeyong instantly forfeits, leaving him unsatisfied. It makes sense though when he realizes she's been internally injured. Woon deduces this must be the price for using Dark Flower Red Heart without the required chi. After a short exchange with the smug girl, Woon is declared the champion of the strife of life and death. The lead instructor congratulates him for being the first ever trainee to win, despite being ranked all the way at 900. As a reward, he's granted a block of flame-patterned black iron and told to tell the senior instructor what shape he wants it forged into. Finally, with but a fraction of the initial trainees remaining, an announcement is made. Though this was supposedly the final stage of their training, there is one more hurdle they must pass. The last trial of life and death, real-world training. For the next 6 months, the Demon Clan's trainees are to go out in the world and do what they can to benefit the clan. Their contributions are used to determine their rank after the 6-month period. Woon Seong is part of the half of the trainees sent to the Great Desert with the task of subjugating opposing factions in the area. Based on that, a long-standing suspicion of Woon's is confirmed. The Demon Clan are making preparations for a war. For his part, Woon's been assigned to dominate a bandit group known as the Sandstorm of Death. In order to gain more info on them, he heads to one of the Heavenly Demon Cult's branches, an inconspicuous bookstore run by the elderly Han No in the large city of Chi Kaeshuan. After reaching the bookstore, he speaks to Old Man Han, and once Woon speaks a secret code, the two head into a back room. Here, Woon identifies himself as a demon general and gets straight to the point. He wants intel on the Sandstorm of Death. From the intel given by Han No, Woon learns the current leader of the Sandstorm joined their ranks 5 years ago. He's known as the Sword of Men, member of the Three Swords of Qingchun. I can't be the only one who thinks that title is sus as hell. More importantly though, he's one of those responsible for the fall of Woon and his master. Fury overtakes him, as Woon realizes one of his enemies is responsible for the Sandstorm's rise in power. Unsheathing his newly forged spear of black iron, Woon sets out. Arriving at one of the bandits' outposts, Woon breaks in after some recon and quickly cuts down the bandits within. While interrogating one of them, he finds himself coming face-to-face with their master Chuck, who has just arrived. Or as Woon knows him, Mei Hong Sung, the Sword of Men. That still sounds sus as hell. Facing off against the swordsman, Woon hits him with a potent burst of intimidation chi. Mei is paralyzed with fear for but a moment before he pushes out his own chi to nullify the effect. As Woon mutters about his past strength, Mei dashes forward to attack the young man. The two clash, spear clanging against sword in a fierce display. Woon's art of six seals and destruction war against Mei's own special technique, neither of them giving room to the other. With the demonic technique not being enough to take Mei down in his current state, Woon decides to finally unleash his original specialty, the technique he's kept under wraps since his rebirth. Leaping into the air, Woon comes down on his enemy with the technique of his late master, Divine Spear of the Ending Night. Falling from above while wielding the Spear Master Sect's teachings, Woon Seong cleanly slices off one of Mei Hong's legs. After mocking the fallen man, he unleashes his full wrath upon him, telling Mei that he'll now exercise his rights as the winner of their fight. Kicking the man around and beating him further, Woon gives him just enough time to work out that he's an apprentice of the Spear Master Sect. Now that he's aware of that, Woon gets to the point. Holding him at spear point, Woon interrogates him as to why the sects attacked the Spear Master Sect all those years ago. When Mei tries to claim the false accusation that they were practicing demonic arts, Woon stabs him through the arm. Brutally and coldly looking down on him, Woon tells the man he'll at least give him a painless death, but only if he speaks the truth. Disappointingly enough, It turns out Mei really is just a clueless pawn for his master. From his part in the Spear Master Sect's demise to his current position teaching martial arts to the Sandstorm Bandits, he's just blindly following his master's orders. Frustrated, Woon uses crushed bones and squeezed muscles, a technique that will leave Mei in excruciating and inescapable pain for 2 hours before he can die. That's nice. With the first step towards his revenge taken, Woon finds some satisfaction and returns to his mission from the Demon Clan. His next task is a group mission to eliminate Blood Llamas, the 5 evils, criminals who committed crimes at the Patala Palace and fled. To prepare for this mission, Woon arrives at the designated location, the Demon Cult's branch in Kashgur. Entering Kashgur, Woon is glad to find the place is much more open about being a demon clan base than the bookstore from before. Inside, he's welcomed by Guan Tae-ryung, who has mellowed out a lot since their last meeting. Guan and the members of the Demon Clan gathered here greet Woon as the squad master of their team, the first Latent Demon Squad. So that's a thing now apparently. After telling the squad to rest up and take care of themselves before their big mission, Woon meets Mok Dae-young, the Fire Demon of Scars. This man is the Kashgur branch manager and the former eyes and ears of the whole clan in their communications department. As such, Woon wishes to speak with him for info on their mission, once more telling his men to rest, but to be weary of laziness, he steps away with Mok Dae-young. While sharing a nice pot of tea, Woon and Dae-young speak of his mission. Hearing their target is the 5 evils, Dae-young is shocked and confused as to why trainees are being sent for something so dangerous. When he locks eyes with Woon, though, his concerns are washed away by the fire he sees burning within. Later, Woon enters the dining hall where his squad are, only to find them acting awkward towards the servants and their positive attitude towards them. Raised in the Demon Clan's cave, they're not really used to being looked on with kindness. Understanding their issue, Woon dismisses the servants and allows them to begin their feast. Once the meal is finished, they get down to business. Woon lays out the plan he's formed after learning of the evils. Out of the 5, 4 are said to be above even first-rate martial artists. Among them, the strongest is Blue Evil, so he assigns Guan to face him in battle. Red, White, and Yellow Evil will be dealt with by the rest of the squad. As for the strongest of them, a peak martial artist who can use sword aura, Black Evil. And isn't that just a wild-ass name? His opponent will be Woon Seong alone. At dawn the next day, Guan finds Woon out in the yard already busy with training. The sight inspires him to be more diligent as well when a messenger bird suddenly arrives. After reading its message, Woon speaks to the now assembled squad. An intel agent of the Demon Clan was found to be tortured and killed, meaning the 5 evils now know of their plans. On the other hand, there's info about them strutting about CC Village just 3 days away from their location. This means they're already underestimating the Demon Clan, something they can take advantage of. With some words of encouragement to his men, Woon begins the march to end their enemies. Sometime later, the 5 evils can be seen lazing away at an inn of sorts. When Yellow Evil threatens to send the master to Buddha for being short on booze, a sudden surprise attack is fired at the 5 evils. After they deflect it, a voice emerges from the resulting cloud of smoke and debris. From within, Woon Seong steps out, stating it is them who will soon meet Buddha. Exactly according to plan, the Demon Squad file in and manage to separate Blue and Black Evil from their companions. While the squad deals with the other 3, Woon faces Black and Guan faces Blue. With Woon and his opponent, Black Evil finds himself being pushed back by the younger martial artist's power. Deciding to end him here before he can become a greater threat, Black Evil activates his trump card, Sword Aura. In kind, Woon coats his spear with chi, much to Black Evil's amusement. Believing Woon to be inexperienced and outmatched, he goes all out with his sword aura. I'm sure that won't backfire on his old wrinkly ass. Unfortunately for him, despite pushing Woon on the defensive, he hasn't done any actual damage after a while, and his sword aura's fading from using too much chi, and Woon just threw off his super heavy bracers. Yup, he's screwed. With nothing left to hold him back, Woon pulls out a new technique he calls Mind Break. With this, he's able to strip Black Evil of any rational thought and draw him in for a direct clash. As he swings down his sword, Woon activates his own version of his skill, Spear Aura. With this, he slashes clean through Black Evil's blade, and then him as well. Cut him up like a vegetable. From there, Woon makes his move to take out the rest of the evils. In particular, he's shown to be quite vicious in his takedown of Yellow Evil, who, for lack of better words, is a massive freaking pervert. And that's putting it nicely. Naturally, being the main character and all, the female demon trainee Yellow was trying to attack, finds herself with a new admiration for Woon. Seeing that things aren't going well for the rest of the squad, Woon orders the girl to tend to the wounded and dashes away. From what he can tell, Guan will win his battle with Blue Evil, so he won't interfere there. It'll be a good experience for him. As for the rest of them, well, he's gonna kill them. Showing a frightening level of ease in his actions, Woon goes on to cut down White Evil, while Guan finally finishes off Blue. With this, their mission is complete. While the first latent demon squad is returning from their completed mission, news reaches the leader of the demon cult of a sinister plot, one that's centered around his daughter, Ae-yong, being killed. After considering the available options, the leader orders for the first latent demon squad to be sent as support for Ae-yong and her second latent demon squad, which she's the leader of. Meanwhile, a meeting takes place between a shady figure and one of the top 3 among the 10 demonic masters of the cult. Though their full motivations are unclear, they're clearly enemies of Ae-yong and Woon. The shady figure proves as much when he reveals his poison was responsible for the defeat of the Spear Master Sect's leader years ago. Oh boy, Woon isn't going to like that if he finds out. In the middle of their return to the cult, Woon turns his squad around and makes a mad dash for the new destination they've been given. They must head to Korla and save Ayan. After slaying half of the group known as the Nine Vices, she's now being hunted by their unexpected leader, the Blade Ogre of the Green Mountain. Over with Ae-yong and her squad, things aren't going too well. Cornered by the remaining Vices and the Blade Ogre, she makes an attempt to stall for time by issuing a one-on-one challenge. If she can just hold out for an hour or two, the reinforcements they've sent for should arrive to save them. Unfortunately for her, the Blade Ogre sees through her plan almost instantly. With her only idea falling to ruins and a vastly superior foe before her, all seems lost for the young woman and her squad.
Subscribe for more content related to anime, manga, and manhwa.